adds a nice bit of flavor to the onion and also helps with the cooking process. A little vinegar. I do red wine vinegar just because we like the taste. Just a touch. I'd splash. I just splashed a little on there. It's going to be super fragrant right away, but it's also just going to, I don't know why, but it just lets them reduce a little bit nicer. It could just be the actual liquid. It could be something about the vinegar. But I feel like they kick down a little bit better, and you get more of those sauteed onions kind of feel that you would get like on a cheesesteak or sauteed onion on the bistecca that you used to always get, remember?
Steak polenta.
Steak polenta. That's the same sort of feel. So let those cook down for just a touch more. So I did a little bit of the red wine vinegar. I'm just going to add a touch more olive oil because I don't want them to dry out. So I'm going to add a touch more olive oil. Yeah, and that nice coat of olive oil because they did kind of start to dry out a little bit on me. Since we are making more of a stew-like sauce, I don't mind if they're a little bit wetter. And then I'm just kind of spacing them out so that they're laying flat against the pan so that they can have that surface area to cook on. Stock ready. We're going to be using a German wine.
Mm-hmm. This is a little bit sweeter. It's almost like a port.
Yeah, it was crazy sweet. I went to have a glass the other day, and it was not at all what I expected. So we learned that. Well, immediately I was like, oh, we can just cook with it. So I'm actually excited to use it for cooking.
So Grace asked, yes, Grace, we noticed that you got cut off, but we're back now. So she had asked if we prefer to cut the veggies or get them pre-cut. We prefer to cut them.
Yeah, actually, I think you were the one that told me that when they're pre-cut, it's meant to breed bacteria.
Yes, I was reading something from like food scientists that were saying like there are certain foods that you want to avoid when it comes to like food poisoning and like listeria and E. coli and things like that. And they said that pre-cut fruits and veggies, particularly fruit, can have more of a possibility of having bacteria, which is no good.
Yeah, which is such a bummer because if you're going to any sort of party, you always see that pre-cut fruit container. But I feel like if you get it from somewhere that's reputable and it's fresh cut and hasn't been sitting out for a while, you'd be good to go.
I think our stream stopped and then restarted. So I apologize for that. And if that's the case, and you're just joining us and we're restarting the stream right now, I don't know what ended up happening, but it looks like we just started it up again a couple of minutes ago. This is Our Dinner is Done. I'm Sally. That's my name, Jimmy. Tonight we're making mushroom and lentils over polenta. So far we have some sliced shallots that are sauteing up in some olive oil and a little bit of, you just did some red wine vinegar, was it?
I did, yes.
And that's sauteing right now. And then we're going to throw in some cremini and baby bella mushrooms and some garlic. And then we're going to make a nice little sauce with some lentils and toss it over some polenta cakes. The one night I forget to put a bib on the baby and look at what he's doing.
It's a bad thing. It's okay. All right, so these onions are nice and cooked down now, so I'm going to add my garlic. Once my garlic goes in, I'm going to have just about a minute or so to cook it so we don't burn the garlic. And I'm going to add just a touch more olive oil to give it a little liquid to cook within. The garlic is a rough chop, so still at that medium-low heat. It's going to take a touch more time to really cook down, but since we're making more of a sauce and we're going to be stewing it up, it's okay that it's that rough chop. It's going to have some time to cook through. Oh, it smells good.
So much reading. He's just playing.
He seems happy.
You know what? I'm not sure if it's the same for pre-washed greens. I don't think so. This was like specifically talking about getting pre-cut fruits, like fruit salads, things like that in the store. I'm not really sure if it was vegetables the same way, but they were specifically talking about fruit. But you would think maybe with the veggies too. But with vegetables, if you're going to be cooking them, I guess that's better.
Yeah, that's true. That would kill anything.
Hey, Mark. So, baby just has avocado everywhere. Good thing it's a bath night. Okay, so he just tossed in some garlic. Those are starting to cook down with the shallots here. You rinse the lentils, so we'll add those as well. But first we'll add the mushrooms, then we'll add the lentils.
Yeah, well, I'm going to do the red wine.
The red wine, yeah.
I think it might... What did I say? I don't know your recipe. Am I doing the red wine now or after the mushrooms?
Oh, I don't know. However you normally make it.
Yeah, you could go either way. I'm going to do it now just because I don't want to burn this garlic.
Sure.
So I'm going to measure. Something I never do. Let's add... It's pretty sweet, but it is going to reduce. So I want to do 1/3 of a cup. Just because we are going to be doing chicken stock, I'm going to add 1/3 of a cup of this red wine. It's a sweet red wine. You can use a marsala wine. You can use anything that's sweet red. So apparently German reds are sweet.
I don't know if anybody in the chat is from Germany, but this was given to us as a gift. So we've never tried it before, and it is very sweet. So I don't know if this is really like considered a dessert wine or not.
But those are perfect to make glazes with.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be nice. So I put the red wine in. I turned it up to medium-high heat. I just threw in a little Italian seasoning just because I think the earthiness of that with the mushrooms is going to go nicely together. I'm just kind of tossing this all together, and I'm going to let this simmer and cook down. Then I'm going to add the mushrooms in. You're throwing everything. Oh my God, look at that avocado face.
We have a very unhappy baby on our hands tonight.
Water, that's why.
Mm-hmm.
What? Oh my gosh. Why do you got avocado that's on your nose? Alright. So my red wine is starting to reduce on this medium-high heat. I know it's reducing because it is bubbling up and boiling. It's actually going to add some nice color to both the garlic and to the onions. They're going to be this nice deep purple. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to kind of let it simmer for a bit.
Yep.
And
we can, this is really just going to take a little bit of time to kind of blend together two little flavors, even once the mushrooms are in.
Mm-hmm. It smells nice. I want to cook off a little bit of
the
alcohol before I add the mushrooms. The mushrooms are going to soak up everything up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them to soak up that alcohol flavor because then when you bite into that mushroom, it'll still have the alcohol flavor into it.
That.
With the onion and the garlic, it's going to cook off.
Yeah, for sure. That is true. I don't know if you can you see Meatball? Oh yeah, you can definitely see him there. All right, he is doing cleanup duty.
All the dogs have gotten really good about it. They know when it's baby eating time and when it's snack time for them. All right, so I'm going to give this a taste. See if my wine is reduced. It's been about 2 minutes, so it probably is. It's only 1/3 of a cup. Yeah, that's nice and reduced. That is pretty sweet. So we're going to add a little salt. We're going to add a little fresh red pepper to give it a little bite.
Mm.
A little sweet.
A little heat.
Cut it down.
We always pretty much put fresh red pepper, salt and pepper in everything.
Right, so now these are nicely reduced down. The wine is actually reduced down as well. So I reduced the heat down to medium. I'm going to throw these mushrooms in. Touch of olive oil.
Yeah. Do you want any butter for that as well? I know we're going to use some butter on the polenta. Do you want any in there?
Maybe actually. I wasn't sure how vegetarian vegan we were going.
Well, we're using chicken stock, so we're not doing vegetarian.
Then yes, I want some butter.
For people who are making this vegetarian at home, then
Sure,
go
they
with
make veggie
some.
butter or something, but
Yeah, use olive oil and then use this veggie stock instead.
so I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of butter in there. That's something we need.
More butter? Ah, okay, we'll add to our
Put it on the
list.
list. We're putting together a shopping list. Sally had texted me earlier in the day, like, what do we need? And I was like, I have no idea. And then the minute I came home, I started looking around. I was like, oh, that's one. We need butter.
Butter.
Butter, olive oil. Now I'm going to think of everything midstream. All right, so we have this on medium heat. I'm just mixing up these onions and mushrooms together. I'm going to let this cook down just for a minute or two, just as a light saute, and then I'm actually going to add the chicken stock in, and then the lentils shortly after that. I'm really going to let these mushrooms cook down in the sauce itself. Oh my gosh, you're throwing everything.
Literally everything. Really didn't need anything, so I'm going to use a little more cereal.
That's so silly and fresh. A little salt and pepper in there. And let this cook down. So my polenta cakes are going to be last, but I kind of want to break it open and cut them to see what they're going to look like. It's our first time cooking polenta.
Oh, hi, we got a follower. LOL Dubers123. Welcome.
LOL Goobers?
Dubers.
Dubers. That's a fun name. All right. Cutting open this polenta.
That's better.
So polenta is just corn.
Just corn, yeah. They're basic. This is going to be basically like a corn cake.
Yeah.
We had a lot of polenta in Venice, Italy on our honeymoon. It's very popular there. And they do it with a vinegar, onion, and sardines mixed dish, which is absolutely incredible.
That's what it looks like.
I think we should add a little bit of the stock.
Yeah, think we're ready.
Yeah, just so that it starts to cook down.
All right, I'm going to measure again. A new thing to measure. We're going to add half a cup of stock. To start us off.
I'm so angry. Oh, maybe that's why he was crying. There's a big burp coming out.
So I'm cutting these polenta cakes into little discs that we're just going to saute up. They're at about a quarter of an inch thick.
Okay, you want a little bit more rice here? Okay, so that.
It's like half a laugh, half a cry.
He's so tired.
Alright, so we have these mushrooms and chicken stock with the onions and garlic that have cooked down in the red wine. I have this up to about medium-high heat. We're just going to let this simmer. Simmer, simmer, simmer. The polenta we're going to cook in a little olive oil in just a minute.
Actually, butter.
Oh, we'll do that in butter?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
That's what the packaging says. So I think butter is the way to go.
Yeah. Well, this is reducing a little bit. I'm not going to add more. Because I always like to think, I like things
Yeah,
extra
let it
saucy.
reduce a little bit.
I'm going to let it reduce.
First.
I don't think we're actually going to need more sauce.
Well, we
tend to do
might
that.
when we add the
Add the
lentils.
lentils.
Mm-hmm. We're just going to kind of let these cook down just a little bit more, let them wilt. Because they are bigger pieces, so we don't want them to be too tough.
Mm-hmm. Just give it a little time.
Taste the polenta without anything on it.
Tastes good.
All right, you can deal with baby for a moment.
All right, you want out of there?
He's going to be covered in avocado.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
He's been very, very fussy today. You know, we've been very fortunate. He's a great sleeper, and last night was not a good sleep night for this little peanut.
Once he got down,
he got down, yeah, he was okay.
But it took
we tried to get him to bed. His bedtime's around 7. He did not end up going to bed until 10 o'clock. He's very, very fussy. He's learning to do a lot now. He's crawling, he's standing up, he's coasting on furniture. And if anybody's familiar with babies, as they learn new skills, it interrupts their sleep patterns. So he had a very rough night getting to sleep last night. And then today he didn't do so well with his naps. He actually had a good early nap. But anyway, that's besides the point. Back to the cooking. I'm just making some small talk right now with our mushrooms so that they could start to cook down. It is true, though, that we have a nice cleanup squad here with our dogs because now that they know that the baby drops food from his high chair, they are always surrounding it at night at dinner time. It's really the funniest thing. So these are starting to wilt down and look really pretty. And it smells really good already because
it does smell really good in there.
It smells, yeah, you can smell it even from the other room. It's got that nice smell of the shallots, the garlic, a little bit of that wine, and even a little bit of that vinegar that he put in with the wine, with the mushrooms. I'm sorry, not with the mushrooms, with the shallots as well to help cook those down. So it's kind of coming up to a boil at this point. You can't really see it from over there, but you can take a look right here. How pretty that looks already. So we're just letting those mellow out a little bit. I'm a big fan of mushrooms. I know a lot of people don't like mushrooms, you know, as kids. And then as you become an adult, your taste buds kind of change, and you like different things. But I've always kind of liked mushrooms. I especially love them now. Hello, Smooth Criminal. Welcome. So, what I was saying it before then the baby was crying. So I apologize for that when you're watching at home and he starts to get a little bit fussy. It might be hard to hear us. So we really, really enjoyed having polenta in Venice. That's very popular food there, and they do it with this kind of vinegar sauce and sardines, and it's vinegar and onions. It's really, really delicious. So this is actually the first time we're making polenta, and the reason we got this kind of easy one is just to kind of see how it comes out. So this, you just cut the log into little discs, and then you pan fry them or put them in the oven, and they cook down pretty easily, just to get kind of heated through and softened up. I've never made polenta from scratch. That's not something that I've ever done. That's something that maybe we'll try in the future.
I feel like you have to dry down cornmeal.
I think you have to you can get polenta meal, where it's kind of just like the, I guess what you would call, like cornmeal, and then you add water and butter or milk to it or whatever to thicken it up, and it becomes more of like a soupy texture. Not even like a soupy texture, more of like an oatmeal type of texture. This is a disc, so it's going to have a different texture. Okay, I am going to add our lentils now because these mushrooms are looking pretty good. They're only going to need a couple more minutes. So I'm going to add the lentils now so that they get heated through. These are just canned lentils, and we drain them and rinse them. And these are just regular green lentils. There's different colors, so whatever you have on hand is good. I'm just going to break these apart, kind of sticking together. I'm going to put those in. And then stir that up. And let those get heated through too. A couple more in there. All right. Give those a nice stir. Lentils are great. I'm sure everybody's familiar with like lentil soup, but lentils are really nice. They're a great substitution. Actually, all of this is a great substitution for meat. This is meatless. Mushrooms are really good for that. Lentils, different types of beans, obviously. I am going to add just a touch more of the stock now because the lentils really kind of soaked it all up. I'm going to do about another quarter cup. Let's see. Maybe not use the whole thing. We'll slowly add that in. Give it a nice stir. Now, did you already add butter in here?
Yeah, a little bit.
You added it to the extra. Okay. I hear Meatball just like licking the high chair. Thanks, Meatball, for cleaning that up. All right. I'm gonna give this a little taste too. Oh, there's definitely a little bit of heat in there after he added the crushed red peppers, crushed red pepper flakes. This is really earthy, really nice, kind of simple flavors. And it's nothing's really covering up the flavors of what's in here. So that's what I like about it. It's going to be the flavors of what this kind of stuff is naturally. The mushrooms, the yummy lentils. Really good. So I'm going to just put the rest of this, the rest of the chicken stock here. It was like another quarter cup that I did all together. I'm just going to let this kind of cook down. And I'm also going to put a little like tablespoon of butter. Just to thicken everything up a little bit. And then I'm going to start heating up the polenta cakes. And this is really going to be done and pretty quickly. This is like a very pretty rustic meal. Awesome. Right, and I'm just going to bring this heat down a little bit because it was on medium-high. I'm just putting it down to like medium-low. And just kind of let it simmer there. And then I'm going to add some butter to, we have another pan over here. I'm going to add some butter to that so that we can start pan fry these polenta cakes and see how these turn out. I don't think that they're going to need a lot of time, to be perfectly honest, because on the package, it says you could microwave them. So it says oven. You could bake them in a 350-degree oven for 20 minutes. You could put them on the grill, brush with oil or butter, and roast on the grill. Stovetop is pan fry in oil or butter. So we're going to use a little butter just to get it a little bit saltier. And I'm sure we're just going to kind of heat them through for a couple of minutes on either side and give them a little bit of time to heat through, and also maybe give them a little bit of like a browning on them. Heat that up. And I'm going to do this on like a lower heat. I don't want to put them in and have them burn. So I'm just going to heat up the pan just a bit. Let this butter melt down a little bit. You could see that we're not using sticks of butter. We use this kind of butter. It's a spreadable butter with olive oil and sea salt. That's just what we like. Good. And then I just want to coat the bottom of this pan so that the polenta doesn't stick to it. Good. Okay. I'm also going to give this another stir and turn the heat down just a little bit again. Now I'm just going to have this kind of simmering on low because the lentils don't take a whole lot of time to cook through, and these mushrooms and everything else are pretty much done. So this is just going to be for simmering and kind of keeping everything hot. All right, so our butter is melted in our pan here. And now I'm just going to take our polenta cakes and put them right inside. I don't want to crowd the pan, so I'm going to show you what this looks like here. I'm just going to kind of put them inside. This almost looks like little blocks of cheese. We'll do a couple at a time here. Move that over. And then we'll just cook them in batches. I'm going to bring up the heat just a bit now on the polenta cakes. And we'll see how this goes. All right, the chat's pretty quiet. Anybody have any questions for me while we're doing this? If anybody else at home has any suggestions for a mushroom recipe, let us know. We always love to cook with mushrooms. Recently, we made a stuffed portobello mushroom with some goat cheese and spinach and panko breadcrumbs, which was delicious. And Grace, who's watching now, she made her own version of it, a gluten-free version of it without the breadcrumbs last night. And she sent us a picture. If you ever do that, if you ever make one of our dishes at home, please send us a picture of it. We'd love to see it. Send it to us on our Instagram page at OurDinnerisDunn. That'd be awesome. So now I can kind of hear this polenta sauteing. Rather than sauteing, I would say pan fry. You can kind of hear it sizzling away. Yeah, so Mark, this is a type of polenta where you just slice it and go. It's not one where you have to kind of mix it with a liquid, and it's not loose. It already comes in a lot. So you're just heating this through and kind of browning it up, whether it's on the grill, in a pan, or in the oven. There are other ways to make polenta. We've never tried that. So, oh, that's great, Grace. That's so cool that some people have been asking you for the recipe. So yes, if you ever make one of our recipes, certainly let us know. That's so cool. And if you follow us on Instagram, please share them. That would be super helpful for us. We like to give this information away. We have a lot of friends that know we like to cook, and we often get asked like, oh, how do you make that, or how do you make that? So this is why we make these videos, just because it's something that we were going to, we're cooking anyway. So we thought it'd be fun to kind of share what we do at home. You can see here that the polenta cakes are actually getting a little bit more yellow from the butter. I'm going to add some more, I'm actually going to add some olive oil to this instead of butter. And I'm going to kind of let it brown up a little bit. I turned them a little bit too soon. I kind of want them to get a little bit browner, so I'm going to give them a little bit more time here. Let's see what happens. I don't want them to stick. coat them up in some olive oil. I could have used a little bit more butter or even olive oil to start. And now that they're in the pan like this, I can feel them getting a little bit softer. So then that means they're heating through. And give me a moment, I'm just going to let out my dog. Turn the light on for them. Like I said, when you watch us, you see what really goes on in our kitchen, because this is us cooking at night. This is not like pre-planned, pre-taped, or anything like that. It's the real deal of what happens in our house on Wednesdays and Friday nights. Okay, I'm going to give this a stir as well, just so that nothing kind of burns up on the bottom. It doesn't look to be, there's enough sauce in there. Hey Jimmy, why don't you give this mushroom mixture a taste, see if you want to add anything to it.
Ooh, those look good.
Yeah, I think that these are already kind of cooked through too. You can use that rest spoon.
Okay. Eating his books.
Yeah, it's happy.
Yeah, that's all I want. Just some books. It smells really good.
Everything smells really good, actually. So, again, this is the first time we're making this. I think the first version of this stream cut off for some reason, so I'll post this one. And what we were saying, it's good?
It's really good. It does have some heat.
Yeah, well, you put some of that crushed red pepper in there, the red pepper flakes, so it's definitely hot. So this is something that we've never made before. This is, we had intentions of making something completely different tonight. We were going to make chicken marsala, but turns out that the chicken that we wanted to use wasn't thought out. It was a really big package, even though I took it out yesterday. So it wasn't thought out. So we decided, you know what, instead of making something with meat, why don't we just use some of the veggies that we were going to use, like the shallots and the mushrooms, and make kind of like a play on a marsala instead with some mushrooms and lentils.
This is more true to how we actually cook.
This is, because a lot of the time, before we started this stream, a lot of the time we would just whip together meals with whatever we had on hand. It was kind of that way. The only reason that now we kind of have a plan before we go in to cook is so that we could let you know what ingredients we're using, kind of give you a heads up as to what we're going to be doing for the stream. Because people have said, like, oh, we'd love to know like, what you're going to be making beforehand. So that's why I like to put it up on the screen for you. But this is the way we cook. And so today when he was at work, I called him and said, hey, that chicken's not thawed out. I have a different idea. What do you think? And he said, all right, sounds good. That's kind of what we decided to do. All right, so I think these polenta cakes are already done. Would you mind? Actually, I'll just try it. Your hand's too light. I'm just going to put them on a plate.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And then I'm going to let in our dogs. Hold on. In and out. One in, one out, one in, one out. What happens?
He's pulling every book out right now.
Yes, and he likes, for whatever reason, our baby, he has a ton of board books, but he likes to eat the soft books and ruin the pages.
They taste better.
All right, so these polenta cakes are going to come out, and then I'm going to put in the other ones and let them cook too.
Hey, he's eating knuckle butter. He's always eating knuckle butter.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite.
Actually, I should have just put this on a plate, plated it up, and said goodbye.
You can do that with the other ones.
Yeah, why don't we use the white plate so it's easier to see? Yeah, because right now, this meal's pretty much done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little polenta on a plate, and then I'm going to top it up with the mushroom and lentil mixture that we have over here.
Yeah.
fun little dish. So I kind of put this on the plate like a little, almost like a little flower. And then I'm just going to throw this mushroom mixture in the middle here. And so, remember, this mixture has some shallots, garlic, a mixture of baby bella and cremini mushrooms.
Look at him. Up around. One hand.
Holding his toys.
You're cooking off the rest of them?
Yeah. What do you think?
That's pretty.
So it looks like a little flower, kind of.
Little flower.
And I'm actually going to top this off with a little Parmesan cheese and a sprinkle of parsley. If you have fresh parsley, that would be great, but our parsley plants are gone now for the winter. So I'm just going to use a little bit of dry. Just to give a little bit of green color.
Hey, baby. I might be able to actually salvage a piece of parsley.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you can see even just the Parmesan cheese gives it a nice little touch. And if we have some fresh parsley, we have some fresh parsley, cool. So we're gonna put a little bit of that on top, and then our dinner is done for tonight. We're gonna just finish heating up the rest of this polenta and make our own plates, and we'll post a recipe to this on our Instagram page later tonight, as long as the baby gets to sleep. If not, then you'll see it a little later, maybe tomorrow morning. So here we go. Perfect. And there we go. Here's our little polenta, our mushrooms and lentils over polenta. Our dinner is done. Thank you for joining us tonight. Anybody have any questions for us before we go?
They said pretty.
Perfect. All right. Hang tight. I'm going to find a channel to raid. Well, let's see who else is cooking.
That baker girl cooking again?
No, let's see if we can find somebody else. Ingrediology. Let's find him. Okay, let's give it a try. So again, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you on Friday when we cook again.
We're making something with squash and something with chicken.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to have left over. What? You put yourself in the corner. Thanks.
Sorry, I'm trying to...
What?
All right. All right, everybody. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you on Friday.
Look at all his poison.